All right, today we're uncovering the story of a man who lived through one of America's most pivotal moments. And it's a story he was absolutely determined his family, and, well, by extension us, would never, ever forget.
So, those were the words of Martin Carringer, speaking to his grandkids. This was a man who'd been through the Revolutionary War, and he was looking back on a life that was just filled with incredible hardship, but also this profound sense of purpose. So let's really get into it. Let's explore the life of one of the men who paid that price and see what his story can teach us today. And we're going to do it using his own powerful words as our guide.
Okay, so Martin's journey kicks off back in 1776. He's just 18 years old and he enlists in the Continental Army. I mean, he answered a call that would completely define the rest of his life.
You know, his first test wasn't even a battle against the British. It was a war against the elements themselves. Just try to imagine it. You're 18, you're marching across the mountains of Pennsylvania in the dead of winter, you're half frozen, and all for just the chance to fight. He even said that some of the men didn't survive that journey.
And for the guys who did survive that march, there was no time to rest. Nope, they were immediately thrown into the chaos of real combat. For Martin, the Battle of Brandywine was this violent, shocking introduction to what war was really like.
I mean, can you even begin to imagine the sensory overload? The total confusion of your first big battle, completely blinded by smoke. You can't even tell who's a friend and who's a foe, just a few feet away.
Yeah, his account makes it crystal clear. This was not about heroic stories. Not at all. He described it as just pure confusion, terror, and the grim reality of doing your duty while being absolutely terrified.
But after the shock of battle, well, then came a trial of endurance that would test the very soul of the entire army. The infamous, brutal winter at Valley Forge.
The conditions there were just unthinkable. He talked about watching strong, healthy men just waste away from starvation and disease, huddled together in these makeshift shelters against a winter that just wouldn't quit. It was the ultimate test of human endurance. But here's what's so fascinating. Martin didn't just remember Valley Forge as a time of suffering. He saw it as a crucible. This was the moment that a ragtag group of rebels was literally forged into a disciplined, unified army. They became a force that believed it could survive absolutely anything.
And why did they get paid for all this sacrifice? 6 2/3 dollars. That's it. That was their monthly pay for fighting, for freezing, for starving, all for the idea of a new nation. Just incredible.
So after 7 long years, the war is finally over. Martin musters out in 1783, and now he has to build a whole new life from scratch. He starts with a promise from the new government, 200 acres of land.
But, claiming that promise? That turned out to be another battle entirely. He talked about traveling for days into a wilderness so thick he had to literally cut his own path through it, fending off wolves along the way. It was only after he built a one-room cabin with his own 2 hands that he finally went back to bring his family to their new home.
But Martin's story shows us something really important. Survival isn't just about being tough yourself, it's about building a community. And to do that, he lived by a really strict personal code.
His character was this fascinating mix of incredible generosity, the kind of man who would give you the shirt off his back, and, at the same time, this fiery, unyielding defense of what he believed was right.
I mean, talk is cheap, right? Well, Martin tells a story about a really good corn crop he had one year, and it reveals absolutely everything about his philosophy.
See, he refused to sell his extra corn to a speculator who was just looking to make a quick buck. Nope. Instead, he saved it. He saved it specifically for new, struggling settlers who were genuinely in need. It's just a perfect example of putting community first. Right there, in action.
So, in his final years, as his body started to grow frail, Martin's focus really turned to one thing: securing the future for the huge family he and Molly had built together out there in the wilderness.
And really, nothing speaks to his character more than his will. This wasn't just about dividing up the land. He made very specific provisions to make sure that Molly, the woman who pioneered right there alongside him, was taken care of with dignity and independence. I mean, a horse and saddle of her very own, her own cows, her own furniture. These weren't just things. They were symbols of his deep, enduring respect and love for her.
And this is the final, powerful idea he left with his family. It's a message of resilience, one that was forged in war, in the wilderness, and through incredible hardship, passed down through the generations. What an amazing legacy to leave behind, right? It's a reminder that sometimes the toughest challenges are the very things that create the strongest foundations.